Hey guys, before we begin, I just want to let you know that there will be spoilers in this review of Detective Pikachu. So if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want anything spoiled, I suggest clicking away now. But if you have seen it and you want to see what I think of it, then enjoy the show. Hey, it's Jay, and it's time for me to give my review of Pokemon Detective Pikachu. I'm a huge fan of Pokemon. I've loved Pokemon since I was a kid. I loved Pokemon the first movie, so I was really excited to see this film and how they would, handle this character of Pikachu, played by Ryan Reynolds, who's seen more as an adult star, seeing as he's done movies like Deadpool. And in all, it was kind of an okay movie, but let me get to that a little bit later. First, the plot. So we follow this boy named Tim, who's a 21-year-old resident of Rhyme City, and he's kind of given up on Pokemon. He's fallen out of love with Pokemon training after that was his lifelong dream. He fell out of love with it when his mother passed away, and his father seemed to have been killed in a car accident. He then goes to Rhyme City's main hub to collect his father's assets, and then he runs into Pikachu, who is an amnesiac Pikachu who's also a detective, and was Harry, Tim's father's Pokemon partner, as they call it in the movie, which I just want to sidetrack for a little bit. It's not a Pokemon partner, it's just your Pokemon. Every time they said you found a Pokemon partner, I wanted to just scream, because it's cringy. So he then enlists the help of Lieutenant Hideo Yoshida, but he believes that the accident was far too fatal for anybody to survive, because Pikachu thinks that Harry's still alive. These scientists, led by Dr. Anne Laurent, are experimenting on Mewtwo, which, if you don't know who Mewtwo is, he is the genetic experiment of DNA from the Pokemon Mew. And so they believe that Mewtwo is behind the accident. Tim comes across this particle simply called R that causes Pokemon to go insane, lose their minds, and just go rabid, basically. And so he needs to try to find out who is manufacturing this R particle, I guess you can call it. He goes to an underground illegal fighting ring, because in the city of Rhyme, Pokemon fighting is illegal, and Pokemon and sorry, my cat's trying to break in here. Pokemon and humans coexist. They're not allowed to fight. But there's an underground ring, because of course there is, where Pokemon are allowed to fight, and he meets up with this guy named Sebastian, who knows a little bit about the R. He also wants to rematch Pikachu, because Harry's Pikachu, Detective Pikachu, beat his prized Charizard in a fight. But Sebastian cheats and unleashes some R in Charizard, which makes Charizard even more rabid than it would have been in a regular fight. So a fight ensues, and in the chaos of trying to find out what this R is, it is released into the air, causing every Pokemon in that vicinity to go insane. Now, this is actually a really creative scene, because they utilize Pokemon in a really creative way. The Pokemon Loudred is actually used as speakers and bass in the club, and once they turn all crazy with the R particle, the bass gets deeper and more aggressive. It's actually really, really creative. And Magikarp evolves into Gyarados and scares Charizard, because it's a freaking Gyarados that, was just from a little fish. I'll be putting images on the screen of all the Pokemon in case you don't know what I'm talking about. So after that, they have to leave, and he also meets up with Lucy, a fluff detective who's trying to make it big, but no one seems to want to listen to her when she has concrete evidence. They visit Howard Clifford, a man who's pushing all this, human Pokemon harmony, and tells Tim to be wary of his son Roger, because he believes that he's behind all of this. So they finally end up at the facility where the Mewtwo experiments have gone on. And after Howard Clifford shows them this virtual simulation technology he's been working on that can simulate events that have happened, they're able to see that Mewtwo was the one who took Pikachu's memory and also kidnapped Howard. I'm sorry, Tim, who also kidnapped Tim. So they go to the facility where the Mewtwo experiments were going on, and there's Greninja there, there's Torterra, and they finally come across the lab. And the simulation shows how the experiments with Dr. Anne Laurent have gone completely wrong, and Mewtwo escapes somehow. We don't know how, but he somehow is able to break out of his pod and just wreak havoc on the facility. Roger is, unbeknownst to our heroes, watching them and is able to unlock the Greninja pens, and a fight ensues with Lucy and her Psyduck. It's also been established that the Torterra are being experimented to grow 3 times, 4 times their size, and Torterra is already a huge Pokemon. So that's not good if they're that big. They run outside and they're in the forest now trying to escape the Greninja and Roger, when all of a sudden the ground starts to shake, the earth starts to shake, and here comes my favorite scene in the whole movie. It's so amazing. It's such breathtaking scenery. They aren't in a forest. They're, as Pikachu says, the Torterra Garden. So the Torterra come to life. They're not trying to harm them. They're just, disturbed at the fact that there's fights taking place on their back, because Torterra is the continent Pokemon, meaning that there's trees, rocks, anything landscape on its shell, because Torterra is like a tortoise. So in the ensuing chase, a big rock falls right on Pikachu, mortally wounding Pikachu. And so the hunt is on to try to find some form of healing. And Tim finds a herd of Bulbasaur to take him to the healer, which is revealed to be Mewtwo. Now, Mewtwo also has the ability to, show simulations of things that have happened. And before he can reveal the full thing that's happened, Mewtwo gets captured by Roger. But in the simulation, all he could get up to was showing Pikachu was the one who released Mewtwo. We don't know why Pikachu released Mewtwo, but Pikachu takes it as, I betrayed my human companion. I betrayed him. And that means I betrayed you in the process, Tim, because I'm the one who got your father killed. So Pikachu, runs off, clearly upset with himself because he feels like he betrayed someone who was so close to him. And as Pikachu is, walking away, all sad and depressed, singing the Pokemon theme, which was actually pretty funny, he comes to the road where the accident happens. And using his simulations and using his memories that he somewhat got back from the hit on the head, he realizes that it was the Greninja that were in charge of the accident, not Mewtwo. So the chase is on to get back to Rhyme City, which Tim is already heading to tell Howard Clifford that Mewtwo has been abducted by his son Roger. Unbeknownst to Tim, but known by everybody in the audience because it's pretty predictable, Howard Clifford is the main villain of the movie. He was behind all of it. He was behind the accident. He was behind capturing Mewtwo to harness his abilities. And what he wants to do is he wants to make like a Professor X style helmet that causes, he can take control of Mewtwo, and he unleashes the R-gas and uses his new powers with Mewtwo to fuse Pokemon and humans. So let's just say I have like a Garbodor as my Pokemon because I love the Trubbish family. I would become fused with that Pokemon and we become one. This isn't good because in the process, Lucy also gets fused with her Psyduck. So Lucy's no help, but thankfully Tim doesn't have a Pokemon around. It's revealed that his son Roger, Howard's son Roger, is actually a Ditto in disguise, and he's been using this Ditto to form completely different things to throw off Tim from him being the main villain. It turns out the real Roger has been trapped in the closet this whole time and is finally rescued by Tim. The Ditto is horrifying. The Ditto human is horrifying. It's like, imagine just me with just 2 black dots in my eyes instead of, actual pupils. It's pretty creepy. A fight ensues. Pikachu finally learns how to use its electrical attacks again because in the ring, when Pikachu was fighting the Charizard, Pikachu had no idea how to use any of its moves at all. And, frankly, it wasn't a good situation. But he finally was able to unleash his full electric ability in those red cheeks, which if you don't know, Pikachu stores the electricity in its red cheeks, and fight Mewtwo. And now here comes my biggest complaint of the movie. The final fight is so underwhelming. It's not even funny. It's horrendously boring. All Tim does is, while Mewtwo is distracted fighting Pikachu, he just takes the helmet off of, Howard Clifford. And it's like, that's it? That's all you did? What he should have done was he should have stood in front of Howard, like, hey, Mewtwo over here, and then Mewtwo fires, like, I don't know, a Psybeam or something, and moves out of the way, destroying the helmet. That's what they should have done. And it was so anticlimactic that it was just like, oh, you know what? Done. Fight over. Day saved. Yay! It was kind of stupid. It is then revealed that Detective Pikachu has been Tim's father this whole time. Harry has been inside Pikachu. They've been sharing, they've been fused, just like Howard wanted to do with the city. And of course, big surprise, Ryan Reynolds actually plays Harry as well, not just Detective Pikachu. So he sends Tim to go home, but Tim, after, abandoning his father the first time, after not wanting to join him originally, stays behind and wants to learn what it's like to be a detective with Pikachu and his father. So yeah, that's Detective Pikachu for you. Really not much to it. Some of the jokes fell pretty flat. It gets a little cringy at some points, like I mentioned before with the Pokemon partner thing. It is fun, however, to every scene that comes on screen to be like, oh, look, there's a Pokemon, try to find the Pokemon that you know in the scenes, because there's a lot of creative ways that they use the Pokemon. They have Machamp being a crossing guard and things like that. So, what's my take on Detective Pikachu? It's okay. It's solid. It's a solid film. I don't have to really see it again. If the opportunity presented itself, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I wouldn't actively seek out seeing it again. But as a Pokemon fan, I still loved it because, it's Pokemon. I'm a huge fan. And like I said, they use the Pokemon in such creative ways that it adds a new depth to what we've seen Pokemon as. We always think of Pokemon as, just companions that we use to fight other trainers to gain experience and become a Pokemon master. But what if we use them Flintstone style and they're, speakers at this underground fighting ring, crossing guards, just everyday, helping out of the society. Oh, I completely forgot to mention Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime was a great help to them trying to figure out, try to get to the bottom of Harry's murder. But Mr. Mime's hilarious. I don't know what they do, but it's insinuated that, Mr. Mime gets burnt alive because Tim pours mime gasoline all over him, and then a trail outside because Mr. Mime kept putting the match out, and then at the end of the scene he just drops it, and then a brief scream, and then it just cuts to the next scene. It's like, so what happened? Did Mr. Mime just get burnt alive? What happened there? It's also kind of weird to hear Pikachu say hell and damn, seeing as it's, Pikachu. I get it's Ryan Reynolds, but it's still kind of just, it's weird. Not to mention, they only throw a Pokeball once in a Pokemon movie, so that's kind of weird. But I'm not going to hold that against the film. Is there going to be just someone throwing a Pokeball every, 3 seconds? I get that they had to kind of reel it back, because that's not the focus of the film. The focus isn't trying to catch them all. The focus is on Detective Pikachu. Which, if you guys didn't know, Detective Pikachu is a Nintendo 3DS game involving, Detective Pikachu. I haven't played it, but after seeing this movie, my interest is piqued to check out what it's all about. So I might actually purchase it just to see what inspired this movie. Great performances by all. Of course, Ryan Reynolds is Pikachu. We gotta talk about that. Something that I didn't think was gonna work in a million years actually turned out pretty funny, because Pikachu's this cute little rodent thing, and to have Ryan Reynolds' voice, who we now all I hear is Deadpool. This is basically Deadpool in Pikachu's body. I thought this wasn't going to work, and yet it was so funny just hearing Ryan Reynolds coming out of Pikachu's voice. Just think about that for a second. It works super well. And I just love the atmosphere, the environments. Like I said, the Torterra Garden was unbelievable, amazing graphics, and yeah, overall solid experience. Nothing great, nothing special, just your average, family-friendly movie about a little cute Pikachu and the world of Pokemon. It doesn't hold a candle to Pokemon the first movie, but then again, nothing really ever will because that movie is so good. I hope to get to that in the future. Yeah, so we've come to my grading of the film. Now, since this is my first review, let me explain how my ratings work. I'm doing it off of a 5-star scale. And yeah, that's basically it. That's all you need to know. A 5-star scale. So Pokemon Detective Pikachu, my apologies, lands at a solid 3 out of 5. Now, a 3 out of 5 is an average movie, but nothing great. 4 out of 5 is above average. 5 out of 5 isn't perfect, but it's the negatives don't really outweigh the positives. 2 is below average, and 1 is do not see, avoid at all costs. I can't wait to try to review some of those movies. So that's just the groundwork, so you guys know how my ratings work. So Detective Pikachu, 3 out of 5. If you're a huge Pokemon fan, you're going to love it, just like me. Yeah, there were a lot of flaws. A lot of jokes fell flat on their face. But I'm not going to hold that against the film. All jokes can't land. And yeah, so that's all I have to say about that. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, share with your friends, and make sure you subscribe. Also, click the bell icon so you get notified of when I upload, next. Because I have some pretty fun projects planned for later on down the road. So I will see you guys in the next video. And that's a wrap.